Well, Furman University will require eligible students to receive a COVID-19 vaccine booster no later than January the 11th. Classes start again on the 10th. Students who are not yet eligible include those whose second dose of Pfizer or Moderna was less than 6 months ago, or Johnson & Johnson shot was less than 2 months ago. Now, they will be required to get a booster within 2 weeks of their eligibility date. Furman University says this requirement also applies to students who are studying abroad. Furman says eligible students, faculty, and staff should receive their booster before returning to campus. Meanwhile, Clemson University will require masks on campus when the spring semester begins. The school sent out a notice today saying that it's due to the spread of the Omicron variant. Face masks will be required inside of all university buildings statewide for all persons. The exception is when a person is alone or is eating or drinking. Clemson also says all employees are required to test between January 3rd, that's today, and January the 7th. The university also says it highly recommends vaccination and booster shots. Classes begin next Wednesday, January 12th.
And the FDA has authorized Pfizer's COVID booster shot for people 12 to 15 years old now. And the FDA says people in that age group who receive Moderna or Johnson & Johnson primary vaccine doses may get the Pfizer booster. The agency also reduced the wait time between getting a second vaccine dose and the booster from 6 months to 5 months. The FDA also approved a third primary series dose of Pfizer's shot for some immunocompromised children 5 to 11 years old. They say it's about the same as a booster.
Here are now the latest coronavirus numbers. In North Carolina, health officials are reporting more than 12,000 newly confirmed cases of COVID-19. More than 2,700 people are currently hospitalized. In South Carolina, DHEC is closed today. They'll have an update tomorrow. And Georgia cases are not updated because of an error in their system.
Some states handed out COVID-19 test kits ahead of students going back to school and people returning to work following the holidays. Officials in Connecticut said distribution plans were set back after a shipment of 3 million at-home tests did not arrive earlier in the week. Due to the delay, officials in the town of Bethel, Connecticut gave priority to frontline workers who work directly with the public and are having symptoms or have been exposed to the virus. They are also only supplying 1 test per household and proof of residency is required. Other areas are issuing the tests on a first-come, first-served basis.
Well, humans have apparently infected wild deer with COVID-19 in a handful of U.S. states. That's according to scientists. They swabbed the nostrils of white-tailed deer in Ohio, and they found that about a third of the deer sampled had active or recent infections. Similar research in Iowa, tissue from a deer that had been killed on the road and hunted deer found widespread evidence of the virus. No cases of COVID spread from deer to humans have been reported, and scientists say that animals can get COVID-19, but the risk of spreading it to humans is extremely low. It's not clear how these deer are becoming infected.
To the weather now. Well, this morning there was that driving rain, but this afternoon, beautiful sunshine.
Yeah, quite a difference between morning and afternoon. Still gusty out there, though. Let's take a live look at our Asheville sky camera. Really fascinating. There we go. Wow. There's an actual literal picture of the sun and the clouds trying to fight one another. Meteorologist Sydney Sullivan is here to tell us what the system will bring tonight and who wins, sunshine or clouds.
Finally, the sunshine. We are getting a break from this very active weather. You can see the southeast looking much quieter than it did this morning. This is actually the tail end of that system that brought rain and even some snow across parts of our area, but much quieter weather is starting to drift on it. However, the winds are still a little bit breezy out there. They have shifted from the southwest to the north and northwest, and this is what's bringing in much colder air for us today. So you'll still notice a little bit breezy out through the rest of the evening, but overall things are going to gradually start to subside as we get into the overnight and into early tomorrow morning. Temperature wise though, it is chilly out there across the mountains in the 30s and lower 40s, the upstate northeast Georgia in the 40s and lower 50s, but compared to where we've been in the 60s and 70s the last couple of days, this is quite the temperature drop, and that's still going to be with us as we get into the overnight hours and especially by tomorrow afternoon. So with clear skies tonight allowing our temperatures to fall into the 20s for the upstate and the mountains, you could be even in the teens. So definitely add a few extra layers heading out the door tomorrow, but get set for lots of sunshine in store, and I'll have a look at how long the sunshine will last coming up.
Sydney, thank you. People in western North Carolina woke up to snow this morning and some strong winds. Our Daniel Robinson was in Asheville as the snow started to fall.
Here in downtown Asheville, the winter weather brought snow that covered nearby parks, some sidewalks, even benches such as these. And while people say they are excited for the snow, some say that the strength of the wind caught them off guard. Wind and snow whipping through the streets of downtown Asheville.
But you get this gust of wind that almost knocks you off your feet and blows the snow right into your face.
Some of those wind gusts close to 60 miles per hour. This snow started to fall just before 5 Monday morning, a surprise to some visitors from Florida in town to ring in the new year.
It's honestly in disbelief. Yeah. I looked out our window. We don't have a balcony, my parents do. And we looked out, I was like, oh, it's just raining. Then my mom texted me, oh my gosh, it's snowing so hard. I was like, what?
The first snowfall of the season here in Asheville, also a first for others.
And they were all asleep when I did this. So I ran
door
over.
Pounding.
Yeah,
door
I came back, pounded on the
morning.
door, and I didn't come back out.
Yep, like you guys gotta come outside, you gotta check it out. It's my mom's first time seeing snow too.
She's not down here though.
Yeah, she's staying in bed. It's too cold.
Once the sun rose, people headed outside looking to have some fun in the snow.
Walk around a little bit, see if we can get a snowball or two together, toss one at each other, just because you never can tell when we may get snow like this again anytime soon.
While the skies started to clear and the snow stopped falling before noon, it still made the trip even more special for these out-of-town guests.
It's always a pleasure being here. I mean, it's so fun.
There's always some kind of hidden surprise that happens every time we come, and this was it. It's cold and it's fun, but it was a surprise for sure.
NCDOT is reminding drivers to be extra cautious on the roads and not to drive in winter weather unless you have to. In Asheville, Dana Robinson, WYFF News 4.
Back in the upstate now, this is Westside High School in Anderson, where a portion of the roof caved in today. No one was hurt. You are looking at exclusive video taken earlier today from Sky 4. Anderson District 5 officials tell us this happened around 10:30 this morning in the Science Wing. This area has been closed since November for renovations. We're told the roof collapsed as crews were there today working. Again, thankfully, no one was injured.
Well, authorities in Greenville County have arrested a man in connection with taking a car with a child still inside. 37-year-old Michael Moore was arrested today. He faces several charges, including kidnapping. The toddler is safe. According to deputies, it happened just before 7 o'clock Saturday night at a gas station on Cedar Lane Road. They say the child was in a vehicle that was left unattended. Deputies say the vehicle and the child were located safely at a gas station on Old White Horse Road. The 2-year-old little boy was reunited with his family nearly 7 miles from where he was taken.
In western North Carolina, officials say an officer-involved shooting in Rutherford County left a man hospitalized. On Friday night, deputies were called to Chase High Road for what they called a domestic situation with weapons. When deputies arrived, they say a man came to the door and pointed a pistol at the responding deputy. That deputy fired his weapon, hitting the man. Officials say 45-year-old Jeremy Oliver underwent surgery and was listed in stable but serious condition. State police is investigating, which is standard procedure.
Well, a driver is charged with DUI following a crash with a Greenville County deputy. Deputies say it happened at around 8 o'clock last night near Wynwood and Malden Roads. The deputy was taken to the hospital with facial injuries. Highway Patrol says the other driver, Rahman Harrell, is charged with DUI and could face other charges.
The marketing students at Greenville Technical College are getting some real-world experience while they're still in school by helping local nonprofits. The instructor of the marketing management class says a different nonprofit is chosen each semester. Most recently, the students worked with the Urban League of the Upstate, which focuses on education, housing, and workforce development. The students' assignment is to put together a marketing plan to address any challenges the nonprofit may have. The chief operating officer of the Urban League of the Upstate tells us they've already made updates to their website based on the students' recommendations. And one of the students who plans to pursue a career in marketing told us this was a very valuable experience.
As an older organization, we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th year in the community. You know, we don't focus as much on the new tech savvy things that are out there. So just having all of those different diverse perspectives shown to us, it was very interesting.
It also helps me feel more confident in the way that I will be when I'm like working for somebody in the real world, because essentially this was a real project. It was a real marketing plan that we actually crafted for the Urban League.
We're told Greenville Technical College marketing students have partnered with around 27 local nonprofits over the years.
The South Carolina earth shakes yet again. The South Carolina Emergency Management Division says the 2.5 magnitude earthquake happened near Elgin. Happened just before 6 o'clock this morning. This is the 8th quake since last Monday. All have been centered in the area of Elgin, which is near Columbia. We are so excited to tell you the results of the Holiday Sunshine Fund. WYFF4 once again teaming up with the Greenville News this season.
That money raised helps our neighbors in need with things like food and heating assistance. And we are grateful and so happy to be able to announce that you donated $122,623.93 to this year's Holiday Sunshine Fund. We thank you so very much for your generosity this holiday season.
Big number. Well, this has been called the worst wildfire in Colorado history. And now investigators are combing through what's left to figure out what sparked it.
Plus, people hoping to celebrate the new year on the beach in parts of California were greeted with closed signs instead.
We were affected by severe icing due to the moisture, cool temperatures that affected the emergency cable.
And a group of workers rang in the new year while suspended hundreds of feet above a snowy mountain.
Well, the cold air has returned. I'll have the latest on what we can expect through the overnight hours next.
We are back with some breaking news we're following out of Cherokee County. The sheriff's office has made an arrest in connection with a shooting last month at Creekside Apartments in Gaffney. 22-year-old Nyasia Rice faces attempted murder and many other charges, deputies say. Deputies were called to the apartments on Overbrook Drive last month for a shots fired call. They say she was targeting specific victims because of an ongoing dispute.
Well, investigators are still trying to pinpoint how the so-called Marshall Fire in Colorado started. Initial reports of the fire were from residents who said they saw downed power lines where the fire started. But after further investigation, authorities did not find downed power lines in that area. According to Boulder County officials, communications lines would not cause a fire.
I'm certainly not going to speculate. There's a lot at stake here, okay? But something ignited the fire in that wind on a red flag day, and our job and responsibility and our quest is to determine what started that fire.
The fire damaged or destroyed more than 1,000 homes. It's being called the most devastating fire in Colorado history.
Southern California beaches from Orange to Los Angeles counties were closed over the holiday weekend after some 7 million gallons of untreated wastewater spilled into the Pacific Ocean. It happened after a series of late December storms brought heavy rainfall to the area last week. Officials said a section of Los Angeles County-run sewage system collapsed, sending untreated wastewater to already overwhelmed storm drains that led to the sea. Beaches soiled by the spill are expected to stay closed until the testing shows bacteria levels are within state standards.
Well, no doubt being stranded for 15 hours was not the way that some restaurant employees expected to spend their New Year's Eve. Definitely not stranded inside a tram car hundreds of feet in the air. Angel Salcedo reports.
It was an experience.
After being stranded in a tram car for 15 hours, 21 people are now back on the ground safely.
2 years, and we've been stuck once or twice due to some weather, and you just wait 15, 20 minutes, and that 15 minutes turned into a half hour. The half hour turned into an hour.
At around 10 p.m. on Friday, 2 tram cars were stopped on the way down from Sandia Peak. But how did all of this happen?
We were affected by severe icing due to the moisture, cool temperatures that affected the emergency cable. We had to cease operations due to the high winds and the icing, and fortunately stranded 20 of our employees actually out on the line last night.
Drejon Jones was the operator for the cabin carrying 20 restaurant employees.
They were a little bit finicky at first, but then once I told them that what the plan was, what's been happening, they definitely did calm down.
They say the hardest thing was to stay warm as rescue teams planned on how to bring everyone down safely.
We got real close and a lot of hugging and just making sure everyone was okay.
At around 11:30 on Saturday morning, crews began their rescue. Their plan was to rappel the passengers down off of the cabin and then walk them to a location where the helicopter could fly them to safety.
All the behavior changed. You know, we saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
When time finally came to rappel, it was just pure joy.
In groups of 2, employees were brought down safely, their loved ones waiting for them with open arms.
I was kind of worried he wasn't going to get down because of the E-cable and how high it was and everything, but he got down, so I'm glad.
Although everyone was brought down to safety, Drejon says there's an important lesson to take away from this incident.
In winter, you have to be a lot more perceptive of the cables, and not only that, the wind conditions as well. This is the mountain, and we have to get that reminder every now and then.
That was Angel Salcedo reporting. And of course, they did have water and blankets on board that tram car.
Well, this has certainly been